Important note, the next few minutes can save you money, minimize estate taxes, avoid family fighting, and possibly save you thousands of dollars on legal actions.
Good morning. My name is Marvin Soskil. I'm the founder of Brett Harrison Jewelry Brokers. We are personal jewelry shoppers. One of the things that I do is I've been in the jewelry industry now for 40 years, and I appraise jewelry. My mom's jewelry hadn't been appraised in 12 to 15 years. The values were not up to date. On top of which they have art, they have antiques. There are no values on any of those things. So when I came back to New York, I put together a team, somebody that does stamps and coins, somebody that values art, somebody that does antiques, and I do jewelry. And we started to market ourselves to the elder care, the estates and trust attorneys, but again, to the average person, the everyday person who's walking around with jewelry that has been appraised at one time or another, but was never brought up to date, and the values are not where they should be. So what I'm proposing today is I'm telling people that they need to bring their values up to date, whether it be artwork, jewelry, etc., for insurance purposes and for other purposes as well, and I'll discuss those. What is an appraiser? An appraiser, jewelry appraiser, is an identifier. Okay, it's up to me as an appraiser to look at workmanship, look at quality, look at the materials, and create a value. So I am a valuer as well. I have to use the market values and the trends. I have to look at things from the idea and from the side of, if we had to reproduce that piece, how much would it cost to do so? At the same time, I am a witness. When I appraise a piece, I appraise it. I can go to court and say that at some time or another, I can verify that you own that piece of jewelry, and I'll explain in certain instances where that can arise. It's important that everything be up to date within 3 to 5 years. If the appraisal does not have a full description, it doesn't serve a purpose, because insurance companies have an option today, New York State in particular, to replace with like in kind, similar quality. So therefore, if an appraisal does not have a detailed clarity, quality, what's going to happen is the insurance company has leeway to replace the item, but there are no specifics. So we want to make sure that we're covered with specifics. If an appraisal is done properly, within a 5-year period, I can take a look at an appraisal. I could say, you know what, all the information is correct, let's just change the values, so you don't have to do the appraisal itself, we just have to reevaluate the items. There are different types of appraisals for different reasons. Okay, you may need an insurance appraisal, and an insurance appraisal is going to give a value, and that value actually should be, what does that item cost to replace today? It's not what is the retail value, because many times if you insure the retail value, you're over-insuring an item. It can be replaced for less. The insurance company has the option to replace with like and similar kind and quality, which means they'll go to a wholesaler who can make the piece of jewelry, and if they can do it for less, you're not getting the policy limit. If in the case where a piece of jewelry cannot be replaced within the policy limits, then the insurance company is obligated to cash it out at the full value. Another reason for appraisals would be estate taxation. Now, an appraisal itself, it's a legal document. So when it comes to federal tax purposes, to the IRS reporting, if somebody dies and leaves a piece of jewelry in a will, that is going to be part of the estate tax. The question here is Do you name people on an appraisal? And do you want that to be included in your taxes? State probate, again, property mentioned in a will needs to be needs to be appraised, and it needs to be listed. For estate planning, equitable distribution. How many of you have brothers and sisters, and if your parents are around and there's a question on an item and your sister wants it and you want it, you're going to fight over it. So if appraisals are done and your parents have named the proper owners for individual pieces and they create an equitable distribution, we know what the values are so it can be settled. Somebody may want a piece of art, somebody may want a piece of jewelry. The idea behind it is that we want to keep peace in the family, no family feuds. Another reason for appraisals is, again, liquidation purposes. Now, whether we do a salvage appraisal, meaning that when you go to sell the item, what is the actual value of the piece when somebody goes to buy it? In some cases, what happens is you may not have a buyer, so therefore you're going to have to dump a piece. So we have to look at an appraised value for, again, insurance purposes, for salvage purposes, the actual value, what it's worth, and again, for tax purposes, what do we need to report to the IRS? Another reason for appraisals in the case of divorces, and I have served as an expert witness in court, whereas there were certain pieces of jewelry that I needed to identify because it was part of the marriage. The husband was contesting that it was the wife had X amount of dollars in value, where in the case of marriage, once it's part of marital property, it was her property, so it doesn't matter. It's just assessing a value. So what you need to do is when you go and have an appraisal done, you need to go to a qualified appraiser. There are people that can write an appraisal, but it doesn't mean anything because they're not in the market. They don't write a thorough appraisal. My qualifications are, I've been doing this for over 40 years now. I am a graduate of the Gemological Institute Diamond course. I do everything according to the AGS, the American Gem Society standards. So again, everything is done properly, and if for any reason you need me, whether personal reasons, your jewelry should be up to date, estate purposes, please give us a call. Thank you.